How's it going? This is Kevin Cleary with The View from the Pew. I want to talk this morning, I guess it's morning here, it may not be when you're watching the video, that's all right, about something that's been circulating in the media in the last, I don't know, I guess a couple weeks that I've been hearing it. Apparently there was a study done. Now the study may be a little bit suspect because it was sort of sponsored by Guinness. So maybe there's a vested interest that they have in the results. But anyway, it has gotten some discussion in media, and so I thought we could talk about it a little bit, and that is having a guys' night. And of course, the Guinness study recommends, going out with the guys for a Guinness, and some of the health and well-being benefits that come from doing that on a regular basis. They actually suggest twice a week, which I feel like is rather unrealistic. And apparently the study was not did not include a large sampling of guys. So it's probably questionable the results that they achieved. However, because of their study and because of them publishing it, it's gotten a fair bit of coverage. I've heard a number of talk radio hosts bring it up and have guys and girls calling in about girls' nights and guys' nights in response to it. I've heard it on a couple of local news outlets, and maybe you have too near your place. And so because it's kind of in the media now and because the discussion is going around, I thought I would share with you a little bit about the idea of having a girls' night, having a guys' night out, and the practical and I believe very real benefits of doing that. So the first thing we need to embrace about this is that, God created two sexes, men and women. And we're different, and that's good. I'm extremely thankful that men and women are different. It makes my marriage enjoyable and healthy. It makes time with my wife enjoyable. If we were exactly the same, things would get awfully boring at my house and many, many other houses. And so we need to be thankful to God that He created us different, that there are two sexes, male and female. And that's good. That was God's design for family and for life. And so, great. Now, the next thing that I want to say about that, though, is that because we're different, we're going to have some different interests. We're not only different as genders, but we're different as individuals, even from one another. And so we're naturally going to have some things that we enjoy doing and don't enjoy doing. If you interact with any group of people on a regular basis, you can just ask. If you go to church, ask around and ask some of the people what their interests are. And guess what? You're going to get a whole bunch of different answers. And that's okay. In fact, again, I think that's really good. And so there's nothing wrong with getting together with a group of people who share similar interests to us in some aspect of life, and getting together and having some fun with that group of people, especially in situations where, maybe your spouse is not that crazy about some of what your own interests are. Nancy really likes paleo cooking and research, and, that's great for her. I'm not that into it. And so her and another friend got together this weekend, and they were cooking and talking about eating paleo, and that's wonderful for them. And it gives her a chance to sort of express herself and do something she enjoys, and without having me say, okay, we'll do it for a while, but this is not my cup of tea. At the same note, I may want to go hunting or play Xbox or watch a movie that she's not that into. And so maybe I'll do some of those things with my guy friends. And that's normal, common part of everyday life. And so we ought to do that. We ought to embrace who we are. And part of doing that and getting together with our respective gender groups is maintaining our sense of identity and our individuality, and not, as some couples seem to do, kind of melding together into one singularity who both have the same interests, do the same things at the same times, and just don't have any independent thoughts. We are attracted to each other because of who we are, and so maintaining who we are can be important. Now, having said all of that, to express the idea that, going out with the girls or the guys and spending some time engaging in some activity you enjoy is a good thing. There are some qualifications that I'd like to put on it that do come from biblical principles. And so this is obviously applicable to Christian people, but they come from godly principles. And since God designed us and since God designed marriage, these principles are applicable to all people everywhere at all times. And I can promise you will make your marriage better and help you to be a better spouse if you think about and embrace these principles in managing your guy night out or girl night out or whatever the case may be. The first thing is that if you are doing anything on your guys night out or girls night out that you couldn't do if your spouse was there, you need to quit that. In fact, you may need to take a break for a time from having a girls or guys night out. You may need to just step back and say, hold on. If you're with a group of guys, and if you're with a group of friends who kind of continually get you into bad situations, then you may need to take a break even from that group of friends. Or have those gatherings on your terms. I have some friends who I just know are going to be up to no good if we get together. And so rather than allow them to dictate the situations that we go into, I'll make sure that, I'll have them to my house and have a barbecue, or I'll organize a golf foursome and go golfing, or go to the shooting range, something that I can arrange and I can have some control over where we go and what we do and how that's going to play out. The second thing that we need to notice about this, because obviously if we're doing something that we couldn't do with our spouse around, it's going to involve sexuality. And so I'm going to give you a principle here that's a pretty key principle. All of us as humans have a sexual capacity and a sexual element to our identity. And what we need to do as a married person is make sure that that sexual energy is directed toward our spouse and no one else ever. And that may sound a little bit restrictive, but there are some things that go on in the world that are accepted that are just not healthy. The construction workers that stop to gawk at every attractive lady that walks by. We've all seen the cliche, right? Or the girls in the office who are fawning over the good-looking delivery guy. Again, I'm using those common cultural cliches for a reason because it's something we're familiar with, but we know that situation plays out in lots of different ways, lots of different scenarios. And so that's inappropriate. It's not showing the individuals involved the kind of respect that they need, and it's also not showing your spouse or significant other the kind of respect that they deserve. So I can promise you that if you get into that kind of thing a lot, it'll cause problems. I'm going to say very, very quickly that there are moral laws and physical laws, spiritual laws and physical laws, if you will, in this world. And they're equal in terms of their bindingness on us. The only difference is, one, the consequences are not realized immediately. So if I break a physical law like gravity, I'm going to find out immediately that I've done something that's inconsistent with gravity. I can't go jumping off buildings or lifting more weight than I have the physical capacity to lift. It just won't happen. And so when I make a mistake with gravity, I know right away. However, when we come to spiritual laws, we can break those laws and we don't face the consequences immediately, but let me tell you that the consequences are just as real as breaking physical laws like inertia or gravity. So that's what I have to say about that first aspect. That's the first qualification. If you're doing something that you couldn't do with your spouse, don't do it. It's not appropriate. You need to find a new way to have guys' time or girls' time. Second, if you're neglecting or avoiding home responsibilities by going out and being with the guys or the girls, that's not appropriate and it's not healthy. And all of us know of people who get into these situations, right? I know a guy, I just heard the story not that long ago, who lost his job because of moose hunting. And it wasn't that his boss was just some no-good, miserable jerk who wouldn't give him any time off. It was that this guy had poorly planned his yearly schedule out. He'd poorly prepared for the time when it was going to be moose hunting season. And all of a sudden he comes to his boss and demands this certain amount of time off because he's going moose hunting. And the boss said, I can't do it. Like, you have no vacation days left. You have no, it's just not going to happen. You're going to have to stay home and you're going to have to skip moose hunting this year. And so the guy just got mad, insisted that he was going, and lost his job. Well, frankly, I don't have a lot of sympathy for him, because if you do stupid things, you get in trouble. But it demonstrates that even something good and normal and healthy, like going moose hunting with the guys, which is, that's great. But that can turn into something that, if we're irresponsible about it, if we're neglecting other responsibilities in favor of this, then it can do damage. And that can happen in a whole lot of situations, whether it be, playing sports or playing video games or drinking or any number of scenarios in this world. We can get ourselves into a situation where we're so wrapped up in something that we begin to neglect and avoid other important responsibilities in favor of this activity. And that'll get us in trouble every single time, I promise. The second thing is this. If you are having a girls' night out or a guys' night out to escape from your home, there's a problem at home that needs to be fixed. And being away from home is not going to fix it. In fact, it'll make it worse. And so if that's the reality, and we need to be very honest with ourselves about what we're doing and why. If the reality is that you're constantly going out with the girls or constantly going out with the guys because you want to escape from your home situation, that home situation needs to change. You need to look at, how you're interacting with your spouse, how you're interacting with your children, the training that you receive, the respect that you're showing one another. Could be bills, could be, how you're managing finances. There are a number of factors that need to be examined closely to determine what is causing you to have to leave that scenario in order to feel comfortable and normal. And those things need to be repaired, because it cannot be sustained if you are constantly feeling like you have to leave your home in order to find some kind of peace. That's the second part. And what's your motivation? If you're just going out because you like it and you want to have some fun, that's great. If you're going out because you want to escape or because you want to neglect some other responsibility, that's bad, and you should make some changes. Thirdly, it's good and healthy to go out and have some time with your friends, girl, guy friends, whatever, that have, whoever, whatever gender we're talking about here. However, don't forget that it's just as good, just as healthy, and just as needed to go out and have fun with your children, with your wife, and especially to make arrangements to have special one-on-one time. Dad, take your daughter and do something that she's going to enjoy. Take your son and do something he's going to enjoy. Take them both, but it's good even to have individual time for your children. Also, find some time for your spouse. Make sure that on a regular basis. Now, I know some people who once a week can afford a date night. Now, that's not my situation. That wouldn't work at all. But it is important, even if it's just, the kids go to bed at 8 and we've got from 8 until 10 when we've got to go to bed to be together, just alone. Or if it's got to be get a babysitter and go out and do something fun, that's great too. Whatever the situation, you need to find some time with your spouse. And so given all of the qualifications that I just mentioned, having time with the guys or having time with the girls is a great thing. Definitely do it. Just make sure that we don't turn a good thing into a bad thing by letting it become overblown or let it become to serve a purpose in our life that it shouldn't be serving. And make sure that we're applying some godly principles to that area of life so that it stays a good thing, because it can be good, can be very healthy, and it should be that, so long as we do so, we enjoy our guy time or girl time in a healthy, godly way. And that's the view from the pew.